You did mention intolerances there in the middle, and it got me back to the conversation that we had before we started rolling, actually, which was the difference between intolerances and allergies, and how like we have had it wrong all this while. Is that we've been thinking that if certain food, we are intolerant to certain food, whether it's milk, whether it's wheat, whether it's gluten, whether it's anything, we kind of get them into the allergy category. So before like we move forward, can you like break it down onto those two aspects?
So as far as food intolerances and allergy, I'll first talk about food intolerances because we were talking about autoimmune conditions. One very important aspect to keep in mind is that any autoimmune condition, normally the predisposition or the largest predisposition or precursor to it would come from having a leaky gut or an intestinal permeability. What a leaky gut and an intestinal permeability primarily is, where, like, let me just kind of make it a little bit more visual for you, all right? So our digestive system is like a hollow tube. You can actually, we all have done science classes. We all remember from school, we used to see that whole intestinal thing in our stomach and liver and everything. The blood is actually outside, and the system is where you see your digestive system, the food is inside. Now, if you see, as a matter of fact, the food and the blood don't interact with each other directly. It's the food that the cells, break it down, and then the absorption happens from the gut, and then that is sent off to the cells and everything like that, right? Now, what happens when you have a leaky gut syndrome because of food intolerances is that you actually start seeing that because there's something called a tight junctions that we have. Like a gut is a very thick, one cell layered thick wall. And when over a period of time where there has been food, there's been an interaction of the foods that don't do really well with your body, with your immune system constantly, what typically happens is that this really tight, very, very tight wall junction kind of starts to come apart. And the blood outside and the foods are interacting with each other, which is the start of the leaky gut. Without which any autoimmune condition largely is not possible. So coming back to the food intolerances, it's very important to understand what you're intolerant to, because anything from maybe even wheat or gluten you're looking at, or maybe even oats, which has a protein called gliadin, or even your dairy. Today we all know that all these foods, lactose, a lot of people are not. The intolerances levels have gone up like crazy. I mean, I see 20 people a day who call me just for a food intolerance or a food allergy. So the numbers have gone, and the age bracket is anything from 4 to 85. So it's crazy the kind of people who are getting it, right? And so even foods, like even people are coming up with intolerance such as nightshades, which are to do with so things like peppers, eggplant, even like tomato, all these things, or even citrus fruits for that matter, or even the cruciferous family, like you're looking at cabbage, cauliflower, broccoli, pak choy, all of these. So again, what typically happens is the food intolerance is a IgG mediated response of the immune system, where the fun part, IgG, I'll just say that IgG is good enough to explain, but IgG basically is you could do a food intolerance panel if you really have to, but I think it makes more sense to do it when you're eating all the foods rather than when you're eliminated the foods and then you do it, because it's your body's antibody response to a particular food where it doesn't recognize that food as something that it knows anymore. So what typically happens is that when you have a food intolerance and you see the kind of presentation, it could be anything from, you could eat, say, I am intolerant to maybe eggplant. The reaction could come in maybe in, say, 6 hours, 8 hours, or even 15 hours, or 24 hours, or 48 hours, or 72 hours. And you could kind of wake up on the third day thinking, after eating that meal, that I don't know why today I have a stomach ache. I don't know what is wrong with me. What did I eat today? What did go wrong today? Did I pass a bowel well this morning? But for all you know, it was something you ate 3 days back. So intolerances are very tricky to find out. And they normally do have symptoms such as gastric symptoms like headaches. You'll have stomach ache. There'll be a constipation, maybe like a kind of IBS presentation, a lot of gas, bloating. All of these things can happen. While allergies are more related to a IgE mediated response. Both of them are immune responses. But the IgE mediated response is more like when of kids who used to have like peanut allergy or nut allergy, which is almost like an instant response, which is more to do with your respiratory system. I'm not saying that it can't have any stomach related symptoms as well, but the primary symptoms are like you get a wheeze, or you get a cold, or you get a cough or a runny nose, or you get constriction in the throat where you feel like you can't breathe.
Right.
And allergies are definitely a little bit more serious, because if somebody has a very serious allergy, they can have an anaphylactic shock where the body can completely just stop breathing, right? So it can be really, really hard in some cases too. So most people are aware of allergies. You even get hives or you get urticarial presentation as well when you eat something like that. So most foods and allergies are like, again, gluten and dairy is very common. There's corn, there's soy, there's nuts, peanuts, there's fish, eggs. Any of these can also give you an allergy response.
Right.
So again, the foods are different and the responses are different. So that is why people should know the difference between an allergy and an intolerance, because more often than not, then you're synonymously using those words. You may do an allergy test. The doctor said, okay, go do an allergy test. And you may do an allergy test and everything comes negative, and you realize that, okay, you know what, I don't have anything. But still, when you eat that particular food, you feel so iffy about it and you don't have an answer. That could be because you're looking in the wrong direction, and it could be an intolerance instead.
Right.